I am going to show you a little more about WordPress, some basic setup stuff that I do on all of my sites. We're going to set up some security and some backups through plugins. I'm going to show you all about themes, and that's going to be kind of the main theme of the day, is to get you to kind of figure out what direction you want to go in terms of a theme and a look and a layout, so that you're able to kind of start kicking out your wireframe. Okay, so depending on the host you have, you may have different plugins that come with WordPress. Usually out of the box, it always comes with this anti-spam plugin. That's something that we may add on a little later if you have any comments or if you have a contact form or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're just going to set up a couple of plugins to protect ourselves, not only from hackers, but to also protect ourselves from ourselves. First and foremost, we want a security plugin. So go ahead and click on Add New up at the top. That's how we extend WordPress's functionality. And you can look up WordPress plugins. There are literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not 100,000s, if not a million WordPress plugins. And you can search for them just on the web. There's lots of premier plugin makers like WooCommerce for e-commerce. We'll get into that. For now, you can, besides just looking at them randomly on the web, you can actually search and look through them through here. So with Add Plugin, you can see some of the most popular ones just kind of pop up. But in that search plugins enter box up on the right, type in security. You may have to hit return for it to take. There we go. Okay, so what this does is these are all different security plugins. I like this big wrestler guy punching his fist together. That's fun. And what you look at when you are looking at plugins to install, now you want to be careful with the plugins. You only want to install a plugin that you understand what it does, how it works, because they are third party. If you just willy-nilly add like a dozen plugins or 24 plugins because you want your site to do all this stuff, all of a sudden you're going to get lost, because plugins typically add more things over on the left somehow, either their own category or they'll add something within one of the current categories, and it just adds functionality to WordPress. And you kind of want to get your arms wrapped around what's there first before you start installing and adding a bunch of things. When you're looking at a plugin, so it's like, okay, which security plugin should I use? We're actually going to use the first one, WordFence Security, but I want to explain that look down at the stars and the number of active installations. So any plugin that has over 1 million, really even over 100,000 active installations is just fine. And that just means there are a ton of people out there using it. All you have to do is click Install Now on WordFence Security. And once it downloads, you'll need to activate it. All right, so go ahead and click on Activate as well. So different plugins will do different things when you install them and activate them. Some of them will just not do anything and all of a sudden add something that you have to go find where it is to work with it. A lot of the bigger ones will actually like prompt you to like do something for setup. Now, in terms of WordFence, it wants your email address, which is fine. You can choose whether you would like to join. You do need to check the box to agree, but you can choose yes or no if you want to be on their mailing list. I always choose no. So you choose one of those yes or no over there and then hit continue. And now it's asking for a premium key. This is common with a lot of the larger plugins, is they'll have a free version and then they'll have a paid upgrade. And a lot of times they kind of make it seem like you need the paid upgrade, but you don't. It really depends. In this situation, WordFence does all kinds of things out of the box that are going to help us that we do not need to pay for. So there was a little no thanks link down there where it's asking for your premium key. Just hit no thanks and poof. So now we're back to the plugins page here, and you can see that it shows our plugin there, and there's a thing to deactivate. So it's kind of a cool feature actually that WordPress lets you have plugins downloaded and installed, but you can activate them and deactivate them as far as actually being part of the site. Usually if you know you're just going to run with a plugin, it's a two-step process. You download it and then you activate it and poof, it's there. Okay, so a lot of times when you get to one of these pages, you'll have these little messages, these little message boxes. See where it says plugin activated? There's a little X over there. You can go ahead and just click get rid of, all right? And then the setting up your Akismet account, let's get rid of that by, let's just delete that plugin. We can bring it back if we want. There will be a time later when I'll talk about protecting your site from spam and stuff, but go ahead and select that. And then under bulk actions, that drop down, you can choose to delete the plugin. Make sure you only have Akismet selected. So you can delete more than one at once, then go ahead and click apply. Like, are you really sure you want to do this? Yep, we don't care about that. And then it will take a moment, and then it will delete your plugin. Okay, there you go. I wondered why we need to choose that. Then it says delete. Okay, so once you oh yeah, okay, that works. Just deactivating it got rid of that little message, but that's fine. So you got a bunch of little messages here, and I kind of want to pick through each one. We could have just deactivated the Akismet, and that would have made the message go away, and we could have left it there. It doesn't really matter. Deleting it or deactivating it is fine. So now you see at the bottom, do you want WordFence to stay up to date automatically? Now, when it comes to plugins, WordPress itself and all your plugins and all of your themes will constantly want to be updated every few days, definitely every few weeks. And it's recommended that you keep them updated because they're usually security fixes, things like that, that is just good, necessary for you to have. Now, it's also important, I used to manage like dozens of WordPress sites. Like I think I was up to like 30 sites at once that I built, was managing all of them at once with this crazy third-party control panel to manage them all. And one of the things that was funky is you're just constantly having to update things, and sometimes it's becoming more and more rare, but sometimes you can update a plugin and it'll break, or it'll break something else and it won't be compatible and your site will break and you'll have to like back up and figure out, you know, how to undo that. So you want to be careful with updating plugins, but some of them, like the really big ones, is okay to just let them update themselves. And for me, I always personally let WordFence update itself. So go ahead and click yes, enable auto update on WordFence. Ionos just throws some big weird box there telling us about plugins. Okay, great. The other one up here where it says, this is another one that comes from WordFence. To make your site as secure as possible, take a moment to optimize the WordFence web application firewall. Absolutely do not click here to configure. You want to dismiss WordFence web application firewall. And the reason is I have found in the past, it's been a couple of years, but I have found that turning that on can cause certain browsers and certain situations to not be able to see your site. So unless it's really like a heavy-handed security issue and you know a lot about it, and want to turn that on and play with it, it can cause more damage than it's worth sometimes. All right, so there we go. We cleaned up our page. Now, let me show you kind of a little bit about WordFence security. Now, first off, the nice thing about it is we're done. We don't have to do anything. We just installed the plugin and it's there and it's doing a bunch of stuff our WordPress website wasn't doing before to protect itself. You don't need to know anything about what it's doing. It's just doing a bunch of things. You can get super deep into it and learn all kinds of things. But one thing I want you to notice is on the panel, the nav panel on the left, at the bottom, it added a WordFence thing. So go ahead and click on WordFence there. And you can see it even has like a flyout. So when we click it, it's got this dashboard. Sure, you can just click the X. We don't need to go through the tour. We can click next. There you go. It's going to tell you all about the things, but I'll just tell you about the things. So this is showing you, sure, your dashboard, showing you what's happened. So you don't have your firewall up, scanning security issues. You can go through all of these options and get so deep, but you don't have to do anything. I usually don't. What this is doing is several things, like it will limit the number of login attempts that someone can have before it locks them out. It will like warn you if it finds suspicious files. It's going to every once in a while scan everything about your website and give you a report about like if files have changed. You may get little notifications next to the WordFence thing that say, hey, the scan found something. And most of the time what it found, we can just dismiss, but we'll keep an eye on it. But this is just helping to protect your site from just unknown bad actors and different phishing and scamming and spamming techniques that people like to attach to WordPress sites that are unprotected. So it was like we walked out into the winter without a coat on, and now we have a coat on and we are protected enough. All right, so now go back to plugins. And after we have some security on there, our WordFence security is set up. The next one to make sure that we have a proper backup system. We want to make sure that we back up this website constantly, create an automatic schedule for it to back up so that no matter what happens, you can always revert back to a previous version, whether something gets hacked or whether you just royally screw something up, which is much more likely to happen when you're first learning. I've done it plenty of times and had to revert to backups for various reasons, or sometimes it's just maybe a client will change a decision and you can just go revert to a backup without having to undo a bunch of changes and things like that. Go back to add new plugin, and this time in the search plugins box, type in backup. All right, and once again, we're going to use the first one called Updraft Plus. You can see it's got 3+ million. Now, just because, now let me explain this Jetpack one, because Jetpack also showed up as the second option under security, and it has 5 million active installs. So you might think maybe I should use that one instead because it has more than the other one. Well, Jetpack is kind of its own special thing. It's like a plugin filled with plugins. Jetpack is like 20 plugins in one. It's got a bunch of stuff with it. It adds a lot of functionality and things that we don't really need to deal with or care about, but you may see that come up again. It's one of the more popular plugins. It just has like 20 in one that do all kinds of various things. So you can go look a little further into Jetpack if you want, but for right now, it is indeed this Updraft Plus WordPress backup plugin that we want to use. So go ahead and install it and activate it. Now, when we're backing up a website, especially a WordPress website, I explained a little bit at some point that WordPress has basically two different sides as far as your hosting and the server is concerned. Just go ahead and close that. We don't have to press here to start. I'll help you get there. When we back up, there's two different things we need to back up. We need to, first of all, just back up all the web files. So if you were to go find the right directory on your server, you'll see just folders and folders and files and all kinds of stuff that WordPress creates. In fact, when WordPress sets up an install, there's very specific spots where it keeps everything that you do, where it keeps your images, where it keeps any documents you upload. All of your content is sent into a certain spot, and it'll only back up those spots. It only backs up what it needs to. But there's another component of your site, and that's your database. Your database is what holds all of the content, all of basically the logic of the site. Without the database, nothing works at all. So you have to back up both the database and the individual files. All right, this will do it for you. We just want you to kind of understand there's two sides of it. So once you have Updraft Plus Backup Restore installed and activated, you can see that a lot of the plugins from the actual plugin page will have like links to get into the plugin. But I like to show you where it is all of a sudden inside the left, because it kind of puts it in a hidden spot. It puts it into an existing category. Settings. Let's try settings. Click on settings. And there it is. Yes. At the bottom of settings, there is Updraft Plus Backups. Go ahead and click on that. And this takes you to the exact same page as it would if you clicked on settings inside of the plugin page. So from here, this is just a whole new area now that we have inside of our WordPress thing because we installed this plugin. At the top, to make a backup, just use the backup, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead and close that message up at the top. It's trying to tell you how to use it, but I will tell you how to use it in a better way. All right, so you can just manually create backups. There are 0 existing backups, but what we want to do is we're going to create a schedule, first of all, so that you don't ever have to do this manually. We're going to tell the database to back up every single day because that's not a very big file, but it holds all of your content information. So as you start plugging content in, text and everything, it's going to hold all of that. And then we'll probably back up the actual files because that can get kind of taxing and that can be large. We'll back those up every week, and then we'll hold everything for about a month. So at any given time, we'll be able to go back a month and grab the database from any day over the last 30 days, or we'll be able to revert the entire file system from each week going backward. Now, why we don't back up the files every single day, it takes a while, it can be taxing on the server, and it's not as necessary. Usually if there's a hack or a screw up or something, converting the database will take care of most of the issues. And then the individual files, if there's something you need to revert or deal with, it's usually a little easier to do that manually. So the other side of it is, besides just backing up these files and backing up the database, the big question is, where do you back them up? You can certainly create backups and just download them and keep them on your computer. You don't want to have to do that manually all the time, every single day. You don't want to have to back up your site and remember to do it and everything. So what this program lets you do is, now we back up, you do not want to create backups on your hosting account. You can just create backups and throw them in the same file directory as your site. But then if you get hacked or you make a mistake or something happens to your hosting account, your backups are susceptible to the same problems as your site is if they're held in the same spot. So it is very, very, very good industry practice to back up your website in a different location than your hosting account. Usually your hosting account will have its own kind of backup system. Like, you probably could, we're not going to do it because this works great just through WordPress, but you probably could. I know it exists in GoDaddy. I'm using it for my own personal portfolio site. Your hosting account typically has, like, if you go into the WordPress options and stuff through the control panel, you'll probably find a way to be able to back up your site and set up a schedule. But each hosting account is different, and I find that using this works awesome, especially because it lets you push to other systems like Google Drive, and that's what we're going to use. So let's go to settings in the tab up top. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to create our schedule. So right at the top where it says Files Backup Schedule, instead of manual, let's change that. And the files we're going to update weekly. So go ahead and go weekly, and then let's retain 4 scheduled backups. Perfect. So now we're going to back up every single file on the website for 4 weeks. So at any point, you know, that if you screw something up or lose something, the most you'll ever be away from it is, you know, a week from where you can revert back. Now in the database backup schedule, this is the one that makes a lot more sense to do every day because it's more susceptible to, you know, needing to roll back. So you're going to do daily, and then let's retain it for 30 days. Perfect. All right, so everyone make sure you've got weekly set to 4 and daily set to 30. So that is our schedule. And now next we want to choose where to actually keep it. And you see all these different options you have, like the Updraft Plus Vault. Again, Updraft has a paid version that we don't need to use, but if you were to pay for it, then they've got all these fancy tools and stuff. Some of you may use Dropbox or things like that. So we're going to use your Google Drive account to back these up. So go ahead and click on Google Drive. There you go. Now scroll down a little bit. You see the Google Drive stuff. And the next part of this, we're going to go through this. Most of this is going to stay default, and I'll explain it in a second. Let's go ahead and leave it where it is. When we save this page, it's going to require that you kind of connect to your Google Drive account, and then it'll leave and tell you, yes, it's okay to connect this, and then all of a sudden, poof, it'll be there. So let's take a look at what's here though. All right, the Google Drive folder. Without paying for the plugin, we can't change where the folder is in our Google Drive, which is fine, we don't care. But what's gonna happen is you're just gonna get in the root of your Google Drive, you're going to get an Updraft Plus folder, just like this. And that's where all of your backups are gonna be saved. So we can't do anything about the Drive folder. And then when it says include files in backups, so yes, plugins and themes and uploads, that should be everything. It's going to exclude a bunch of stuff that's just built into WordPress. We're not worried about that. So go ahead and scroll down. And let's see. I typically do not check the box to have an email sent to me. I don't need an email every time it's backed up because I know it's backing up. I can check it in my Drive manually if I want. And we don't need to worry about anything else. So go ahead and scroll back up to the top. All we did in here once we installed and activated this plugin, just want to review it one more time, is we went to settings in the settings tab, because there's, as you can see, there's a ton of stuff in here, and we're just, just like WordFence, we could probably spend 3 class periods going through the whole 3 hours going through everything in this plugin. And a lot of times you want to just know what you're trying to do and do just what you need and kind of leave the rest of the bells and whistles for a rainy day. So we went to the settings, we set up our files to back up every week for a month, and then we set up our database to back up every day for a month. Then we chose Google Drive, and everything else we left default. So go ahead and go to the bottom and save this, and then it should ask you to connect your Google Drive account. And there it is. You have selected a share option, which has an authorization step to complete. So now follow this link. Okay, go ahead and complete the setup to authenticate it. And poof, it is back. And you can see the next scheduled backup. So that is it. That is all we needed to do. All right, well, like I said, that is what I do every single time I start a WordPress site. I always start with installing the security first, and then I install the backup, make sure it goes to my Google Drive, and now, no matter what I do going forward, I know that I at least covered my bases better than if I did nothing. And the backup thing, again, I think the backup is even more important than security, because you can just roll back no matter what reason. Let's talk about themes, shall we? So what a theme is it's really the look and feel of your site. You can create your own theme in WordPress, but we are not going to go to those nerdy levels in this class, because you have to write a lot of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. At least you don't need to write a lot to create a basic theme, but to create anything that looks good and gives you any kind of power, you would have to do things that are way beyond the scope of this class, which is why we have themes, so that we don't have to write code and we can use any of the thousands upon probably tens of thousands of themes that are out there. There's different levels of themes. There are free themes, there are premium themes, and then out of the premium themes, there are what are called builder themes. And I'm going to show you all of the differences here. What I want you to kind of kick around in your mind is what you may be wanting to do. I'll tell you kind of the pros and cons of each type, and ultimately your theme choice is really going to be the majority of the decision that's driving your wireframes. All right, so I've already talked about the content map. Again, is just whatever your content is. It doesn't really matter what your website looks like for that, but the wireframes very much does. Let's start with just the low-hanging fruit free themes, or actually let's start with the themes that you have installed. So go to Appearance and Themes, right? So it usually comes with at least a couple of 2019, 2020, 2021. You may have already played with hitting activate on any one. You can only have one theme activated at any given time. There's no reason to have more than one theme. Once you choose the one you're going with, I always delete the other ones. And the reason is because they constantly want to be updated, and it's annoying. So you can see already 2019 and 2021 want to be updated. So let's go ahead and get rid of those two. I know even though you're not going to stick with 2020, but we'll leave that for now. So go ahead and click on it where it says Theme Details. And that will show you kind of the larger view all about it. And then the lower right, delete. There you go. It won't let you delete your current active theme, just themes that are inactive. You can delete that. Sweet. All right. Now, if we wanted to pick a new theme, which we all do, we don't want to use the default 2020 theme, click Add New in the same way that we would plugins. And now, in the same way that we would plugins, we can search through thousands of free themes, all right? So if you just kind of scroll through, you can see these are probably some of the more popular free ones that come about. Now, we'll install one of these in a minute, but I want to explain that with most themes, a free theme or premium theme, the exception of the builder themes that I'll get into last, but with most themes, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. This is an exercise that I've gone through with dozens of clients that I've built websites for, where I give, most of the time they don't know exactly what they want. I'll ask them to go through a branding process. of kind of, filling out, give me all the information they have about their company, what goals do they have for their site, what do they want it to do, but more importantly, go find some benchmarks of other sites or competitors that you like. So I'll get some kind of idea of kind of the look and feel they like. And then sometimes I'll give them, it depends on the client and what our relationship is and how tech savvy I believe they are. It all depends. But sometimes I will give the client the keys to the castle and give them these different theme resources and just say, hey, go through all these themes and find 3 or 4 of them you like, and then we'll talk about them and narrow them down. Or sometimes I'll do that for them and I'll spend the time to go through and find a couple of themes that I think will work, and have them deal with it. But the bottom line is, I've built plenty of like low to medium budget sites where we kind of skip the design process in the sense of, like, there's still going to be your own content. It's still going to be your own imagery and text, but it's perfectly reasonable in this class and in, real working life to use an existing theme and skip all of that hard work to have to design and create and build something from scratch. That's one of the reasons why WordPress is so popular, is that you don't need to spend a ton of time and a ton of budget to get a nice complicated site. You can kind of build off of what others have done. Each theme will have its own things to customize. So actually, before we go through these new things, I should back up and see directly on the left, directly underneath themes, where it says customize. Go ahead and click on that. And what each theme will have, some more premium themes will have tons and tons and tons of things you can customize. But this customizer menu, this lets you customize certain things about the theme. So go ahead and go into like site identity, color, just kind of click in some of those over on the left. You can see, okay, so I could change the logo, you could change the company name and the tagline, go back, site identity, let's look at colors. All right, so you'll go ahead and change the background color. Ooh, in real time, it's showing you what it looks like. So what's happening is whoever created this theme created a ton of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And part of the building of a WordPress theme is you connect it into this customizer panel. And there's certain things that you open up and allow the user to change. There's also certain things in the theme that are just static and that you can't change without going under the hood and actually plugging in some CSS code or something, which we may do at some point. So go ahead and go back from the colors. And what's under theme options? All right, different things you can show or not, great. And then the menus and widgets, there's different stuff. So we don't need to go through all of it, but there are certain things that you can kind of customize. So once you decide on a theme that you want to go with, one of the first things that you want to do is just go through everything on the customize menu and kind of get a feel for what you're able to change and what you're not able to change. Because anything that you can't change through the customize menu, there's no, with the exception of content, that like the actual text and imagery that may be there already, with the exception of that, where you actually edit that in your page or in your post, whatever's in the theme is in the theme, and that's how it's going to look. So it's definitely, it's worth noting that when you pick something out, that's basically what it's going to look like, but with your content, until we get to the builder theme, which I, again, will explain. So now that you see this customizer menu, each theme, now this one comes with WordPress, and it's kind of basic in the sense that there's just a few things you can customize. More premier themes will have like 10 times the amount of stuff you can customize, and it's insane. So go ahead and close out of this. Usually it'll make you either exit it or publish it. So you can just exit it and hit OK, and you don't need to go do this. But if you were to go look at it, you would see that your background did not change. It gives you the opportunity to preview what these changes would look like. Lets you make changes and either save them or not. Actually, click on customize one more time. Does it have built in out of the box different mobile views? Yes, it does. So take a look at the very bottom. One part that's really, really important, what it's going to look like on desktop, what it's going to look like on a tablet, and what it's going to look like on mobile. All themes now, within the last 2 years or so, if they were made, probably 3 or 4 years, are going to properly break down for mobile like that. So you can see this one in particular, go back to the mobile view. You can see it changes the menu to have the 3 little dots. You can click on that and see how that menu functions at the top right. And it just opens up a menu and you can close the menu. It is very, very important that, finding the right way to kind of view and test your site at all of these different screen sizes is going to be a big part of what we're doing. And that's another reason why it's so important that we're just going to use an existing theme, because if we were to set something up from scratch, it would take us a very, very long time to program all this and make it work correctly across all these different screen sizes. So that's kind of the gist of a default theme is, you can choose whichever ones that comes with it. And then there is all of these customizable options that you can go through the customizer. And within the customizer, it lets you kind of preview what it looks like at mobile, tablet, and desktop. So now that you understand kind of the basics of what you can do with a theme, go back, you can X out of this, go back into the themes, and let's go to add a new theme again. There we are. So we're at this huge list of all these themes. Now, there are literally thousands of them within this. You can see that right now it's showing us the featured ones. Go ahead and click on popular up there at the top and see what are the most popular ones. 2020 is the most popular. A bunch of those, and then go back up and you can see the latest. Apparently there's some of your favorites. You can also search for things. So let's say maybe search for portfolio. So that may be a common theme here. Then hit return, and it's going to kick back some really nice portfolio themes. So let's check out this guy in the orange chair up here. And you can click on it and you can see details about it, and it will even preview the thing for you. Now scroll down, and one thing that I want you to notice is that notice that this preview doesn't look anything like the picture, right? There's no guy in an orange chair. Especially with the free plugins. This is one of the things that you get what you pay for. You certainly can make it look like what is in the preview picture, but a lot of times a free plugin, when you just install it, it's not going to look like what the preview has, because you have to actually fill out the content. You have to put your own imagery in, you have to put in your own menu links and everything, which I'll get into all of that and show you how the menu system works. You can start creating pages and stuff. You need to be a little careful with, or not necessarily careful, but just be aware that with a free theme, it's not necessarily going to look exactly what the preview looks like until you spend time filling in your own content. Right now, the only content you have is the sample page content and the one blog post. So when you add a new theme, it's going to kind of change the colors and the font and everything, but it's not necessarily, with the free ones at least, going to actually populate it with all this stuff. You would have to kind of do work within the theme to add things and work it out yourself. So go ahead and go back and pick another one that just you think looks cool. And let's just peek at the preview of it. Let's see if any of them seem to look like the thing. Not as much that. Let's try another one. Let's just try a couple of them. Curious. Okay, so this one's better. This one actually will throw the image in there, it looks like. And as you scroll down, you can see some of that. So taking a look at the preview is really important to understand kind of what you're getting with it. You can find, again, thousands of free themes inside of WordPress like this. You could go to Google and type in free WordPress themes, and you'll find hundreds of sites that have free WordPress themes. A lot of them you could find through this. So if you're going free, typically just through WordPress is the way to go. There's enough of them that you can just find what you're looking for. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, you can actually purchase a premium theme. There are a lot of companies out there that do this. If you just Googled WordPress theme, you'd probably find 10 different sites right on the first page, if you didn't include the word free, that have paid WordPress themes. And there's many, many reasons to have paid WordPress themes. Number one is they're usually a little more professionally developed. They may have a lot more functionality in them. Like, for example, you could get an e-commerce theme. In fact, let's see what's there for e-commerce and free first. Go back up to the top, and instead of portfolio, type in e-commerce, and let's see what comes up. So, okay, there are several themes that come up: Commerce Plus, Arrivals, Sales. So there are lots that are in here. Click on one of those and then click to preview. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so you can see not much is coming up, but you could compare. If you look at the little thumbnail there, you can see that it's got like a top row. It's got a big hero banner image there, and then it's got some product categories. The preview doesn't really have anything built out. What does it have? What happens when you scroll down? Looks like there's a lot of scroll area. Oh, interesting. This is just showing us like different theme elements. Strange. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, it's worth repeating that with free themes, you may need to do some work to get it to look the way it's supposed to look. So now let's take a look at some premium themes. Another thing besides just being more nicely designed, possibly having more functionality. Like there are premium themes that I've purchased for clients that will have like 25 plugins already installed. And it's like a whole functioning website with just tons of stuff going on. The best place, I believe, to get premium WordPress themes, at least one of the largest and has some of the best ones, a place called themeforest.com. Okay, so Theme Forest looks like it may be the Envato market now. And notice there are over 50,000 themes on this, which is crazy. Scroll down a little bit. All right, click on WordPress themes there. And now scroll down and you can see that there's categories: creative, corporate, blah, 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 weekly bestsellers. So first of all, look at the prices. There's some that are 30 bucks. There's some that are 60 bucks. But let's start with this Aveda because I want to show you how intense some of these can be. All right, there. Okay, so this one theme has, you can build any of these different sites with it. Some like super themes, they will let you choose from a series of demos to get started with. So maybe click on one of these. That doesn't matter to me which one, but you can see that there's like 100 different sites that you can create just with this one theme. And as you scroll down, great, you can see it. And then you can go back. In fact, it looks like I opened a new tab, so you can close that tab. And let's go out of the Aveda tab. I just want to point out that some of the best sellers on this are like, see then, The 7, multi-purpose website building. Some of these are meant to be like, I could build 50 different websites with this one theme, you know, which could be great if you decide to start building websites for people, which you could totally do after you learn how to do it in this class. And, you know, as long as you can find people to pay you to do it, and then you could buy a single premium theme and use that single theme for a bunch of different clients. Now, there are some really good premium themes that are more specialized. So let's go back up to where our filters are. Yeah, so you can see a couple of those, say like 600 websites and stuff like that. Let's try creative. That might be a little less. Scroll down a little bit. And all right, so again, you're seeing $39, $49. Let's scroll down a little more. So I want to get to some that are not like multi-purpose, that one's just like, okay, this is what the website is. Creative portfolio theme. Let's try that Bowman creative portfolio theme there. You can click on preview. And different than a free theme where I explained that the preview may look more finished than when you actually install the theme, when you buy a premium theme, there's usually a step that when you install it, it's just like a free theme where you don't see the whole site. Go ahead and scroll around on this a little bit, see what's going on. All right, so this is cool. It's kind of a side scrolling one, totally different style. You can use some video right there, really cool. See what the menu does. It's interesting. It's got the small little minimized menu for desktop view. So it's like kind of a mobile first theme. It looked really good on tablet. Go ahead and click on about. And, you know, you can see it. And it looks like this might scroll vertically. See how that works? Sweet. So most premium themes, probably could say all premium themes, and premium just means you have to buy it. Once you install it, there's going to be a process of importing demo data. Free themes typically don't have this, But premium themes, once you install it, you can import the demo data and it will actually plug in all of the imagery and all of the text to fill it out and make it look just like the demo. Sometimes it's a little work to get there, but they all have it in some way. So that once you have it installed and import the demo data, now you actually have a full functioning site that you go in and just start changing the text and changing the images to be your own. But for the most part, certain things will be customizable through the Customize panel. But you have to be very aware that you can't be like, well, I like this about this theme, but I need to like change all of these structural things. Like you pretty much get, it is what it is. What you see is what you get with a theme outside of what it lets you customize. Okay, so go ahead and go back out of this one. There are hundreds of themes inside of here. If you get to the bottom, I'm sure there's pages and pages to scroll through. It keeps going, keeps going. These are all just under creative. Let's see, go up a little bit. Is there pagination there at the end of them? So just showing you, I don't know. Interesting. Oh, okay, there's a view all button, so you can keep looking at more and more. This is a good place to just spend some time looking through. I would like all of you, even if you already know I'm not paying for shit, I am definitely going to get a free theme. I would like you to spend some time looking at some premium themes, looking at their previews, breaking down the browser down to a narrower view to see how they look and just kind of get the feel for, those of you that are doing e-commerce, take a look at the e-commerce ones and the premium themes and read about them. There's previews. In fact, let's do that real quickly. Go back up to the top, choose e-commerce. Or actually, you can just search. So right now we're within a category. It looks like we got a breadcrumb trail up there. So click on WordPress and then e-commerce. There you go. And right away, notice that first of all, there's 1,200 of them. You see the little tags right there, that when we have creative, that was even broken up into smaller categories. So anything you choose, you can even just search. There's a lot here to kind of search through. But let's try like that X Store one right there. It's got that $20 birthday sale. Click on that. And a lot of these will, let's go back. A lot of these will have explanation about the theme and will explain, okay, so instead of clicking on preview, how about the one to the left of that? #1 best-selling WooCommerce theme. Instead of clicking the preview, just click on the theme itself. Yeah, click wherever it lets you click. Okay, so this is the theme details page, all right? And you can live preview from here and check out what it looks, but each of these premium themes will kind of explain what's in it. There may be plugins in it, there may be functionality that it can do. You can scroll down a little bit. This is telling us it's compatible with WooCommerce. It's got some kind of, so here's a list of all the different things that you can kind of do within this theme. It's compatibility with different browsers. And you can also see how many people have gotten it, right? That's a big thing. Is I'm not sure if you can anymore. You used to be able to, there's two prices. You can either purchase a theme and let it stay on the store for like $60, or you used to be able to spend like $2,000 or $3,000 and purchase the theme and make them pull it down from the store. So you're the only one that would ever have it moving forward. I've never done that for a client. They usually don't care. So many people out there, and you customize it to your own anyway. Okay, so that's the first two levels of themes, is the free themes you can just find through WordPress, and then Theme for Us has just tens of thousands for you to cycle through, figure out what kind of genre you're in, see what others have done, definitely do some benchmarking for yourself and get a feel for kind of quality difference in the design of what you get with a premium theme versus a free theme. Now, the last level is what's called a theme builder theme. And there are probably 4 or 5 of them out there right now that are pretty popular. But the one that we use, that I think is the most popular, that I've built a couple dozen sites with, is from a company called Elegant Themes. So if you please go to elegantthemes.com. This, if you click on all products for a minute, you can see right away it's showing you Divi. And so Divi, this is the theme. Divi is also a theme builder, okay? Meaning there is a Divi theme in and of itself, but you can actually add the Divi builder to other themes as well. I'll talk a little bit more about that another time once you guys have had a chance to kind of play with this stuff. because it's a little misleading once you see what Divi does. The Divi theme is probably best to go with if you're going to use the Divi builder, because it's built to like basically give you an open, empty canvas to be able to create your own layouts very easily with drag and drop and tons of pre-made little widgets and things. The Divi thing, it's like a page builder that instead of having to use the built-in little blocks that come with WordPress, it's a much, much more advanced page builder to get different layouts and things. You can technically use it with other themes, but you can only use it within the certain content area that the theme allows you. I'll show you more the difference between the header area, the footer area, and the content area, but the Divi theme itself gives you kind of a blank canvas to just do anything you want. And what, oh, these are different themes. Okay, never mind. Go back up. I had you click on, let's click on the Elegant Themes logo. Let's go back to the home page. I had you click on all products, and Elegant Themes does have like 4 or 5 different themes that you can get, and they don't have you purchase it by the theme. You just have to purchase a subscription to Elegant Themes. And then once you have a subscription, then you can download and use any of their products. All right, and you can see with these little videos going on and stuff, what Divi really does is it makes it so they make it look easier than it is. There's a starting point where you have to kind of learn how it works and how the web works and how things break down from desktop to tablet to mobile. You have to kind of understand the flow before you get to the point where you're just on your site making willy-nilly edits like they're showing you, but you can get to that point and it's pretty cool. Let's see, scroll down, let's see what else is on this page showing us about Divi. It's the most popular WordPress theme in the world, and it's the ultimate WordPress page builder. We don't need to watch a cheesy video. All right, so all kinds of different online stores, educators, all these different things. This is one theme to rule them all, basically. But what it does, so stop right here, is it has what's called the Divi builder, and it lets you kind of edit your page on the screen, showing you what the page is going to look like. It also has a ton of built-in pre-made themes. So I am inside of the member area of Elegant Themes. I'm going to download the Divi theme, Divi Builder plugin, which is built into the Divi theme. I kind of talked about the difference there. And upload theme at the very top. And now you can choose a file. This is the same way it would work with another premium thing, as you would buy it, you would download it. All right, so you've got it. Go ahead and click open and install now. And just like a plugin, once it finishes installing, you'll have to activate your theme. And then poof, you'll suddenly have the Divi theme. Go ahead and click on activate. Go ahead and look at the front end of your site now that you enabled Divi. You just see that it's going to be pretty empty, but this is what your website looks like now. But just as a quick example, go back into your admin and go into your pages and go into the sample page and click on edit. Okay. Now when we have Divi right now, up here, use the Divi builder. Click on that. And edit with the Divi builder. Okay, click on start building. That's the creator of Divi, and it'll show you all kinds of stuff. So it'll load, and this is really cool. Click on start building with use existing content. And just like that, now this is just one text box, and there's different types of boxes you can get. But you could, so roll over the text area, and click on like the little sprocket looking thing in the green up there, little gear. Yeah. And here's a dialog box where you can actually click on the column. As we scroll around, we can get to the actual text and you can edit stuff. So click on the blue plus. Okay, that's going to add a section. Go ahead and add a regular section. Great. And that's going to show us how many columns we have in our section. So maybe put like 3 columns. All right, so now I've got these 3 different columns, and now it's asking us to add a module. Take a look at all these modules. And if you remember when we first installed WordPress, and they've got this block system to build your pages. If you were to go in and edit a page before adding this plugin, it's similar. They kind of copied the way these builders work, where these are all HTML chunks that you can use to add stuff. So like, for example, if you want to add a video, click video, and poof, now you can go in and you can put in the URL for your video, and just like that, you've got a video added to your site. But ultimately, you'll kind of have these three different options. You can either choose a completely free theme with a pre-made layout, and that layout is going to be what it's going to be. Or you can choose a premium theme that many of them have just one pre-made layout, and it's going to be what it's going to be, but it's going to be a little nicer, maybe has some more features and bells and whistles than a free one. There's plenty of premium themes like that Aveda one and some of the top sellers that are like super themes that have like a bunch of looks and layouts within them, but all of them are still just pre-made. You get to choose between a bunch of them, and they may have a ton of things you can customize, but it's still pretty much, hey, this is what it's going to look like. This is what we're going to go with. Divi and other theme builders allow you to basically start from scratch and build your own look. It still has the ability to load layouts and start from a specific spot, which is what I would recommend. But you can certainly kind of build your own site from scratch and decide, okay, here's where I'm going to want my menu, and I'm going to want a big header slider thing that shows some of my best work, and then under that I'm going to have this, and under that I'm going to have this. And you can create a real true from scratch wireframe using Divi, just knowing that you can kind of build it however you want. Because I've done it every way. I've built dozens and dozens of WordPress sites, paid for clients, and I've done it every possible which way. I've made free themes, I've bought premium themes, I've used Divi a lot to build websites up from scratch really quickly, and I've even built my own WordPress theme with hardcore code under the hood, which is a terrible way to do it, but sometimes it is what it is. Because there's actually some cool wireframing tools that you can use Divi's builder to actually create your wireframes and make kind of a real working wireframe website relatively easy. So I'll show you that. Did the main part of securing and backing up our website with some basic plugins, and now you have learned the initial ins and outs of themes, what the different styles are, what the different levels of them are, how they all have a customizer. Some of the more advanced ones will have so much more in them, it'll make your head spin. Usually when you install a theme, it doubles, if not triples or quadruples, the amount of stuff that's going on in your menu and stuff that you can deal with and play with in WordPress. So that's why I kind of like to go through what's there out of the box before we start just installing themes and playing with them.